fantastic to be here. My mother was born in Poland in 1939. When she was only a few months old, she and her extended family were sent to the Warsaw Ghetto, being Jewish. When she was 3, my grandmother, who had learnt or heard rumours about concentration camps, came to her and knelt in front of her and said, "From now on, your name is no longer Carmela, you are Wanda. And we are not Jewish, we are Catholic." She was 3. From that point on, they were on the run and in hiding for the rest of the war. You can imagine having a childhood like that. When my mother was an adult growing up, she had a lot of questions about life, the meaning of life, and how to protect oneself against madness like that. And so she accrued a very interesting library of books. And they had themes about the power of the mind and human potential. And I read those books as a teenager and found them very inspiring. So when my son was playing around with cloaks and wands, playing Harry Potter games when he was 9 years old, I watched him and I thought, wouldn't it be great if these kids knew they could do magic for real? And so that thought was the gestation point for my first novel called The Mastery Club, in which a home-educated girl invites a group of peers to form a club to support and challenge each other in achieving their goals and dreams by learning about their mind, universal laws, visualization, things like that. And then I wrote a sequel called The Hidden Order. And The Hidden Order presented the idea that the world looks chaotic and unfair, but there is a hidden order when you know what to look for. And that brings us to today. The world looks chaotic and unfair, but there is something amazing, wonderful and transformational going on at the moment. This great awakening we're all experiencing is an awakening to our power and our potential. People all around the world are connecting, are unifying. We are recognizing that we were asleep at the wheel, that we are the co-creators of what's happened, and we're starting to step up and take responsibility for our lives, our health, and the state of the world, because we've now seen who's been pushing the buttons behind the curtain, right? You might know the story of the boy and the butterfly, and it's a brilliant one that I'd like to share with anyone who hasn't heard it and to remind the rest of you. A boy is watching a butterfly struggle to emerge from a cocoon. And he wants to help it, so he grabs scissors and little snip here and there and opens the cocoon for the butterfly. And so the butterfly just flops out. Its damp little body just crawls a little and it dies. And the boy's devastated because he didn't want to harm the butterfly, he wanted to help. So he goes to his grandfather and said, "Why did the butterfly die?" And his grandfather said, "In the process of squeezing its way through the cocoon, the moisture would have been drained from its wings, and so the wings would be dry and light and would be able to lift it in flight. So by rescuing it, he actually did it a disservice." Well, the metaphor is clear, isn't it? We have our own cocoon, our own birthing canal when we enter the world, and the challenges don't stop there, because some degree of struggle was designed into life. We are meant to struggle to build strength and resourcefulness and resilience. And look what's happening. The creativity, the resourcefulness, the connection, the awareness, all of that is being birthed as a result of these challenges that we're experiencing right now. Many of you are going to consider home educating your children now, or doing an alternative form of education. And I'd like to share a story about my experiences in that, because I home educated my 3 children, and then they're now in their late 20s and early 30s, and it was difficult. It's much more difficult in confronting than dropping your kids off at the school gate, but so worthwhile, really, really worthwhile. So here's a story from our experience. My son at the age of 14 was struggling with maths. He didn't enjoy it. He'd throw his maths book across the room. You know, he would complain and whinge, and he just wasn't confident. Anyway, I thought, right, enough of this. We enrolled him in a tuition program, drills and repetition and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he didn't like that either, and it didn't help with his confidence. But here's the interesting thing about this story. When we enrolled him, he was tested. 14-year-old, he came up as grade 4 maths ability. I knew that wasn't the case because he was faster at mental arithmetic than me, but that's how he tested up in that environment. That same year, I took him to do work experience with a staircase builder. When I went to pick him up at the end of that first day, that builder said to me, "Your son is going to be a frigging millionaire. His maths is better than the year 10 boys that come through here from the local high schools, and his work ethic is amazing." I want to just finish by encouraging you, thank you. I want to encourage you to trust yourselves and trust your children. We were designed, your children were designed to learn. Schools were designed to dumb us down and have us follow orders. In the context of real meaningful work in this staircase builder's workshop, working on a staircase that's going to be put into someone's house and have a real family use it, he woke up, his brain switched on, his memory was active, and he was successful. Remember that, trust your children, trust yourselves, enjoy the journey. If you're not confident of what I'm saying, check out one of my mentors, John Taylor Gatto, who went and looked at the real origins of education and discovered why schools were set up very much to create a slave race, and who really believed in empowering kids to follow their interests and make use of the community around them. As my very last comment, or last two comments, one of my other books is called Power of the Light. It's about health and government propaganda, believe it or not. I wrote it a few years ago. I'm going to donate this one to Triccy and TPR. Any one of you who'd like to, auction it off, any one of you who'd like to buy it, the money goes straight to Triccy. Come and see me, all right? And or else I'll leave it up here with him. So that's that. And then I want to remind you, thank you. I want to remind you also about Triccy's Patreon site. As you've heard, he works selflessly, tirelessly for so many years now, and working full-time in his job, even overtime in his job, raising the family, and then as soon as he gets home from work, he puts on his TPR hat, and he's doing all of this. So please respect and honour his commitment, how he's working for us, and do consider that patreon.com/Triccy, $5 or more a month to support him in what he's doing for us. Thank you very much.